I need a class action lawsuit. Like, I need punitive damages and emotional restitution right now.
Oh, a handwritten apology wouldn't hurt either.
Honestly, yeah, from whatever poor traumatized cameraman had to actually capture this footage. Because, babes, there's no amount of therapy or, like, sage that will erase a man in his late 40s casually strolling out of a bedroom with his robe completely open.
Just letting it all swing in the Pacific Northwest breeze.
Yes, on national television. I am unwell. Like, I am physically and mentally shattered.
Of an act of visual terrorism, bestie. Pure, unadulterated visual terrorism. Like he knew exactly what he was doing.
He knew.
He knew those nanny cams were rolling. It wasn't an accident. That was a deliberate choice to subject the viewing public to a level of exposure that frankly violates the Geneva Conventions.
Babes, welcome back. We love you, we see you, and we have expensive tequila on deck because tonight's episode deserves the fancy bottle, even if our bank accounts entirely disagree.
Oh, they are actively weeping boo. But my nervous system just requires top-shelf agave to process whatever the hell that episode just subjected us to.
Right.
The level of emotional stunting we just witnessed requires medicinal intervention. So cheers, boo.
Cheers. Ooh, wow, this is so smooth. And honestly, I need the soothing properties of this tequila right now because my own life is currently feeling like a reality TV plotline.
Oh, what's happening?
I am spiraling. I am in a full-blown, like, text my therapist in all caps emotional spiral because I just got invited camping.
You're joking.
No, again, for the third time this summer, what is happening in the zeitgeist right now? Why is everyone in our friend group suddenly pretending to be outdoorsy?
I have no idea.
Like, girl, we live in a major metropolitan city for a very specific reason. Concrete and central air conditioning and a DoorDash driver arriving in under 20 minutes are my love languages?
It is mass delusion. That is exactly what it is. I've been preaching this gospel for years. Camping is literally paying money to be aggressively inconvenienced.
Paying so much money.
Right. Sometimes an exorbitant amount of money. You are packing your entire existence into the back of a Subaru Outback just to sleep on the ground like a 14th century peasant hiding from the plague.
Yes.
It is the romanticization of hardship, and I just reject it.
You have to plan for a week just to go suffer. And the air mattresses. Do not even get me started on the absolute betrayal of the wilderness air mattress. They are a physiological lie.
They really are.
You blow it up at 9, and you lie down, and you feel like a queen suspended on a cloud. And by 2 in the morning, you are literally sleeping on a single pathetic layer of plastic directly on top of a jagged tree root.
And your spine is just permanently realigned.
Exactly. You have a crick in your neck that will take 3 chiropractic adjustments to fix. And for what? To wake up shivering and covered in morning dew to eat a charred hot dog off a stick.
The worst part is the people who bring the portable kitchens. You know exactly the type of delusional camper I'm talking about.
Oh, the ones with the tiny little spice racks.
Yes. They have the 2-burner Coleman stove and the collapsible silicone sink. Bestie, you are not Gordon Ramsay in the woods.
No, you're not.
You are boiling unfiltered river water for a packet of instant oatmeal while actively fighting off a raccoon. The sheer amount of logistical overhead required just to make a mediocre cup of instant coffee is staggering.
And the Pinterest fantasy of it all is what really enrages me. Because everyone thinks camping is this cozy, curated aesthetic moment.
Right, with the chunky knit blankets.
Yeah, draped over a log with a roaring campfire and someone softly playing an acoustic guitar. No, that is propaganda.
Utter propaganda.
The reality is bug bites in crevices you didn't know bugs could legally reach, damp socks that never truly dry out, and waking up at 3 in the morning to walk a quarter mile through bear-infested woods just to use a public bathroom that looks like an active crime scene.
It is an insult to our ancestors who fought tooth and nail to invent indoor plumbing and climate control. If I want to be cozy, I'm going to do it in my living room where the thermostat is set to exactly 71 degrees. My couch is ergonomic, and the bathroom does not require a tactical flashlight to navigate.
Babes, at this point, the wilderness is personally inviting us, and I am formally declining the RSVP. I am blocking the forest's phone number.
Put Mother Nature on Do Not Disturb.
I am. But you know what I will never put on Do Not Disturb? The Snark Squad confessions. Because the submissions we got this week had me literally clutching my pearls and questioning the moral fabric of society.
Lay them on me. My analytical brain is craving the chaos of our listeners today.
Oh, I am so ready. Okay, confession number 1. This is from a listener who says, I work in a highly competitive corporate office, and my coworker has been subtly taking credit for my ideas in meetings for the last 6 months.
Oh, I already hate her.
Right. So she says, right before her massive end-of-year presentation to the regional VP, I snuck onto her unlocked computer and changed the font color of every other slide in her deck to white.
Wait, pause.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She said she clicked through, and it looked like half her presentation was just completely missing. She panicked, she bombed the presentation, couldn't explain the missing data, and long story short, I got the promotion.
That is lethal.
That is literal corporate espionage.
I have to give that an immediate non-negotiable 10 out of 10 on the Snark scale. It is diabolical, and it is virtually untraceable.
Completely deserved to.
Well, entirely deserved. You want to steal the intellectual property of your peers. You're the invisible font of doom. That is just the universe self-correcting boo. She just weaponized the formatting and let the coworker's own incompetence undo her.
It's so brilliant. Okay, brace yourself for confession number 2, because I physically cringed reading this.
Okay, I'm ready.
I accidentally sent a highly spicy text meant for my sneaky link directly to my landlord.
Oh, no, no, no.
I said, I can't wait for you to completely wreck me tonight. My landlord, who is a 65-year-old man named Gary, replied, I am just here to fix the radiator. Please leave the door unlocked.
Stop the recording. I am deceased. Wrap it up.
How do you even recover from that?
Put me in the ground.
You literally can't. You have to break your lease and forfeit your security deposit and legally change your name. There's no coming back from Gary the landlord thinking you want him to wreck you next to a broken radiator.
You can never, ever look that man in the eye again. Every single time the kitchen sink leaks, you're going to be thinking about that text. The power dynamic has been irrevocably altered.
Yeah, so bad.
I give this a 9 out of 10 purely for the visceral, full-body, secondhand embarrassment. The only reason it is not a 10 is because she didn't follow up by telling Gary it was the joke about the structural integrity of the apartment.
That would have been amazing. Okay, last one. Confession number 3. I am currently debating whether to date my ex-fiance's wedding planner. She planned the wedding that we eventually called off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. During the planning process, we secretly bonded over how much of an absolute nightmare he was, and now 6 months post-breakup, she just asked me out for drinks. Is this too unhinged, or is this a meet cute?
Unhinged. Bestie. That is a Lifetime original movie waiting to be greenlit. I am seated in the front row with popcorn.
Right. Like, think about the logistics. She already knows literally everything about your terrible ex, so you don't have to do that exhausting trauma-dumping phase of dating.
Exactly. It is an incredible display of efficiency.
She has clearly demonstrated that she has excellent taste in floral arrangements. And obviously, she is highly organized. Plus, she witnessed your worst moments of stress and still wants to date you. I say go for it. 10 out of 10 for chaotic romance.
It is incredibly practical, honestly. The foundation of any strong relationship is a shared mutual enemy. You bond over the trauma of the ex, you fall in love over the deposited vendor checks, and you walk off into the sunset.
Seriously. But, okay, before we completely pivot to reality TV, let's talk about this expensive tequila we are currently drinking. Because I paid a genuinely absurd amount of money for this bottle.
It is a very pretty bottle.
It is. And I need you with your hyper-analytical brain to tell me if I am just a gullible victim of late-stage capitalist marketing. Like, am I actually drinking liquid gold, or am I being scammed?
Let's break down the economics of luxury spirits, boo. Look at this bottle. It is hand-painted glass. It has a cork that looks like it was meticulously hand-carved by artisans. The empty bottle alone weighs about 10 pounds.
It's so heavy.
You are paying for the glass. You are paying for the aesthetic narrative. Can the average human palate truly taste the difference between a $150 bottle and a solid $50 bottle once you throw some lime juice in there? Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you. I feel so validated. Because we all have that one incredibly delusional friend who takes a sip of a margarita and is like, oh, wow, I can immediately detect the complex notes of roasted pepper and volcanic soil.
No, you cannot, Brenda.
You are just regurgitating the marketing copy from the back of the label. You taste alcohol and lime. But I will admit, there is something deeply psychological about the presentation. Holding a heavy, beautiful crystal glass just automatically raises my internal credit score.
Exactly. It's the placebo effect of luxury branding. You are consuming a status symbol. The weight of the glass tricks your brain into assigning a higher value to the liquid.
It really does. It artificially makes me feel wealthier than I am.
But honestly, if sipping a financially irresponsible beverage keeps us from having a full mental breakdown over the reality TV we are about to discuss, I fully support the placebo effect.
Same. But you know what else is paying for aesthetics without the substance? The dried flowers debate we were having off mic? We need to settle this right now on the record.
I am so glad you brought this up
Yeah.
because I vehemently stand by my position. Dried flowers, like tall pampas grass and preserved eucalyptus, they are timeless.
No, they're not.
They are incredibly elegant. They fit the ultimate sophisticated neutral Pinterest aesthetic that elevates any room. And most importantly, they don't die on you in 3 days like those tragic grocery store tulips.
I refuse to accept this. They are not chic. They are literal corpses of joy sitting in a vase in your living room. They are flowers that gave up.
They are architectural?
Are they cozy? Or are they just massive, highly flammable dust traps? Have you ever in your life tried to dust a stalk of pampas grass?
You don't dust it, you just let it be.
You can't. You touch it and it just instantly disintegrates and sends tiny particles of dead plant matter flying all over your house like a botanical plague. Fresh flowers bring actual vibrant life and energy into a home.
You are being entirely too dramatic as usual. Yes, fresh flowers deserve the hype when they look good, but who in this economy actually has the disposable income to replace $50 floral arrangements every single week?
I will happily take my fresh, high-maintenance, beautifully fragrant peonies over your sad, dusty, beige wheat stalks any day of the week.
Dried flowers are for the practical, stylish girlies who want a specific vibe without the relentless maintenance. It is about sustainable aesthetics.
Well, babe's enough about camping invitations and tequila economics and dried flower debates. And exposing the Snark Squad. Let's get into Married at First Sight, where complete strangers are trying to build forever while we are trying to decide if camping counts as a vacation.
Let's do it. Because season 20, episode 15, just systematically took 10 years off my life expectancy. My notes app is currently an absolute war zone of red flags.
We have to start with the absolute disaster class in therapy that we witnessed between Tori and Felipe and Paul, who is allegedly an expert on this show. And I really want to emphasize the word allegedly.
Allegedly being the heavy lifter in that sentence. The man has a degree in something, but it certainly isn't in holding toxic men accountable.
I was screaming, like physically screaming at my television. The setup is so dark. Tori is sitting there on that couch, visibly depleted. Her posture is completely caved in, and she bravely says, I feel emotionally manipulated by Felipe.
Which is 100% accurate.
Yes, because Felipe is executing a textbook case of future faking. 1 minute, he is looking at the camera saying, man, I miss the single life, I feel trapped. And the literal next minute, he is looking at Tori saying, I can see forever with you.
He is deliberately stringing her along, giving her breadcrumbs of commitment just to keep her hooked.
Exactly. And let's talk about what Paul does. Tori explicitly states she feels emotionally manipulated. And Paul, instead of unpacking that statement, completely and utterly invalidates her. He looks at Felipe, laughs, and goes, well, if it was real emotional manipulation, we'd kick him off the show.
I literally gasped out loud when he said that. It is the most egregious cop-out I have ever seen on reality television.
It's so insane.
Paul is basically weaponizing the premise of the show against her. He is saying, if you were truly being manipulated, our morally flawless production team would have swooped in to save you.
As if production cares about anything but ratings.
Right. This is reality TV. They do not cast stable, well-adjusted individuals. They cast Felipe specifically for the drama. They knew in the casting process that he was a walking, talking red flag.
And to use the structure of the show to gaslight Tori into thinking she is crazy is wildly unethical. Paul isn't doing therapy. He is playing in the kiddie pool of human emotion.
Just skimming the surface and making sure nobody drowns on camera.
And Felipe gets completely emboldened by it. He is treating this actual legal marriage exactly like a 2 a.m. Tinder swipe. You know that specific guy who only ever texts you up at ungodly hours?
Oh, I know the type.
Ignores you for 3 days, but then right when you're about to block his number, he sends a massive paragraph about how special your connection is. He tells Tori, I am choosing you today. Right now.
Which sounds romantic if you have zero standards. But what about tomorrow? What about next week when life gets actually difficult?
Exactly. A marriage is supposed to be a foundational investment. And Felipe is treating the altar like a hotel checkout desk. And then we get to their sauna date. Did you catch what he gave her as a gift?
The framed wedding photo. A masterstroke of emotional manipulation.
It was so deeply calculated. Tori is finally pulling away. The fog is lifting. She realizes he is completely full of it. So Felipe panics because his ego cannot handle being rejected.
Right, so he scrambles.
He sets up this sauna date and hands her a framed glossy picture of their first kiss at the altar. He is trying to suck her back into the fantasy. He's saying, remember how happy we were on day one?
Yeah, Felipe, she was happy before she knew you had the emotional permanence of a goldfish.
Seriously.
What we are watching is the classic textbook cycle of toxic relationships. It is rooted in intermittent reinforcement. It's the exact same psychology that makes slot machines so addictive. He pulls away, she creates distance. His ego senses the loss of control, so he love bombs her.
He takes out the jackpot.
Exactly. He gives her the photo, says what she wants to hear, and once she is reeled back in, he will immediately start pulling away again, and the experts just sit there nodding.
It is exhausting to watch, but if we want to talk about exhausting, we have to pivot to the absolute nightmare that is Adam and Marissa, because this dynamic is rapidly deteriorating into pure misery.
Oh, God. Prepare your nervous system. I had to take deep breaths during their segments.
I physically gagged, like I am not being hyperbolic. I had to look away from my screen. They're on what is supposed to be a romantic date at a nice restaurant. And Adam, a grown adult man, is eating a massive T-bone steak with his bare hands.
Like a medieval barbarian.
He literally picks up the bone, bypasses the silverware entirely, and just starts gnawing on it in the middle of a public establishment.
See, this is where the psychological profile gets truly fascinating, because this perfectly aligns with Adam's entire manufactured persona. Let's analyze his wardrobe for a second. We have the aggressively floral rompers.
The silk shirts unbuttoned down to his navel.
Exactly. Adam is aggressively cosplaying an alpha male. He wants desperately to be perceived as this untamed feral beast of a man who rejects societal norms. So of course he eats a steak with his hands on camera. He thinks it makes him look primal and dominant.
It doesn't make him look primal. It makes him look like he wasn't properly socialized as a toddler. It is giving profound lack of home training. And Marissa is sitting across the table, and you can see she is visibly repulsed. The honeymoon phase isn't just dead, it has been cremated. So she finally snaps and lists her icks. She tells him point blank that the way he eats is disgusting.
And then she brings up the real issue, which is the relentless, suffocating intensity.
Yes, the fact that this man requires them to play pickleball 6 days a week or go jet skiing at dawn, he is constantly operating at an intensity level of 100, and it is destroying her nervous system.
Let's look at how Adam responds when a woman sets a perfectly reasonable boundary. Does he reflect? Does he compromise? Absolutely not. He deflects and projects. He immediately fires back and says his ick is that she doesn't utilize her natural athletic ability.
His ego is so fragile.
He is entirely incapable of metabolizing criticism. The moment she asks for peace, he attacks her character. But then this is where the conversation goes entirely off the rails. Marissa, backed into a corner, makes the most self-sabotaging statement of the season.
I lost my absolute mind. I stood up off my couch and started yelling at the TV. Marissa looks this man dead in the eye and says, "Adult women don't play sports."
The internalized misogyny just leapt out of her body and took the wheel.
What on earth are you talking about, Marissa? Have you never turned on a television? Have you heard of Serena Williams? Simone Biles? Millions of adult women play sports, whether professionally or just in a local rec league.
It was a wildly defensive, sweeping generalization.
Just because she personally doesn't want to play pickleball with him. Just use your words and say, I hate pickleball and I hate being sweaty on a weekend. You don't have to insult the entire female population and set back Title 950 years just to get out of a date.
It was a massive panic response.
Yeah.
But if we connect this specific conflict back to Adam's psychology, he explicitly stated earlier in the season that he has been looking for a wife since he was 18. We have to pause and ask, why is an 18-year-old boy desperately searching for a wife?
Because he doesn't want a partner? He needs a mommy.
Precisely. He is looking for a caregiver. He is looking for a maternal figure to unconditionally love him and cater to his chaotic energy. Notice how he brings up his ex-girlfriend constantly.
Incessantly.
The specific ex who cheated on him years ago and broke his heart. Adam has never actually healed from that trauma. Instead of doing the internal work, he is using this reality show to cast a new woman in the exact role of his ex-girlfriend.
Hoping that this time he can control the outcome.
Exactly. He doesn't want Marissa for who Marissa is. He wants a carbon copy of the woman who broke him. Someone who will match his manic energy and never challenge his fragile authority.
And Marissa, who suffers from the ultimate disease to please, is trying so incredibly hard to twist herself into that exact shape. It is genuinely miserable to watch two people actively resent each other while pretending to try.
Speaking of things that are miserable to watch, we need to address the complete absence of human eroticism. The traumatizing open robe and the HR speak intimacy between Shawn and Nikki.
As I clearly stated in my opening remarks, I am seeking legal counsel. Shawn walking out of that bedroom with his robe flapping open, exposing himself to the nanny cams. I did not consent to that viewing experience.
Let's back up and analyze the date that directly led to that heinous moment,
Mm-hmm.
because the buildup was just as bizarre. The wine and chocolate tasting date.
Right. So Shawn plans this date, which on paper sounds lovely, but he turns it into this weird psychological exercise. He wants them to connect the chocolate tasting notes to deep childhood memories.
Right, and Nikki takes a bite and says very normally, oh, this tastes exactly like peppermint patties.
And Shawn, completely ruining the vibe, says the chocolate reminds him of the specific time he stole candy as a young child, and his mother violently forced him to march back to the store and return it.
Which, honestly, is a massive skeleton key to his personality. It explains so much about his deep-seated need for control and his fear of authority.
But the absolute defining moment of their complete lack of chemistry was the Lady and the Tramp cookie bite.
Oh my gosh, I washed it through my fingers.
He puts this massive cookie in his mouth, bites down on half of it, and leans across the table toward her. And you could see Nikki physically on a cellular level recoil. Her body rejected him before her brain even processed it.
She leaned as far backward in her chair as physics would allow.
And she bit the very edge of that cookie with just her front teeth, doing everything in her mortal power to ensure their lips did not make contact. The kinesiology of that moment was screaming, I am contractually obligated by a television network to be sitting here.
It was visceral disgust. But then the plot twist. They go back to the shared apartment. They suddenly kiss passionately in the kitchen. They go into the bedroom, the door closes. And the next morning we get the open robe incident.
Which implies they consummated the marriage.
Yes. And the next day they sit down on the couch to debrief with the cameras. And this is where the psychology gets truly unhinged.
The HR speak. The corporate jargon.
Nikki is a high-level HR professional in her day job, and she brings that exact, sterile, litigious energy directly into her romantic life. She describes their hookup by saying, and this is a direct quote we had, a physical encounter of the sexual flavor.
She literally followed up by saying it was a good advancement in the right direction. Who talks like that?
She also said, we have reached a new threshold. Bestie, they are treating physical intimacy like a quarterly performance review. It's like they successfully negotiated a corporate merger of their bodies and are now reporting the fiscal yields to the board.
There is absolutely no romance.
Just deliverables and synergistic alignment.
I had to push back on the entire premise here. I pushed back on the idea that they actually have any real connection or that anything meaningful happened. I think Nikki is entirely faking it.
Really? You think she's faking it?
She is highly intelligent. She knows she was getting a terrible Ice Queen edit from production for being so closed off, so she made a calculated strategic decision. She decided to throw Shawn a bone just to get through the rest of the filming schedule without looking like the villain.
The chemistry is HR approved, which means it is completely sterile and liability-free.
Exactly.
You're not wrong at all. It's an emotional shield. If she sterilizes the intimacy with corporate jargon, she doesn't actually have to be vulnerable. Which leads us perfectly into the main event of the episode, the absolute masterpiece of chaos that was the group dinner.
Oh, the group dinner. This was a masterclass in performative show and tell. Everyone came to that dinner table dressed to the nines, ready to present a glossy, heavily redacted PowerPoint presentation of their failing marriages to the rest of the group.
Let's start with the most satisfying moment of the season. Adam getting absolutely unequivocally cooked by Shawn.
Yes. I was cheering in my living room.
They going around the table doing check-ins, and Adam, lacking any self-awareness, once again brings up his ex-girlfriend to justify why he is forcing Marissa to share all his exhausting hobbies.
He literally says to the group, you should have met my ex-girlfriend. We were super aligned on everything. She is an ex for a very specific reason, Adam.
Being aligned on a jet ski does not mean you have the communication skills to sustain a marriage. And Shawn, who has clearly reached his absolute limit with Adam's alpha bro posturing, just snaps.
He bypasses all pleasantries, looks Adam dead in the eyes across the table, and asks, do your parents talk like you?
It was lethal. It was a surgical strike.
A completely lethal read.
Shawn points out that Adam relies entirely on internet slang to navigate complex adult situations. He uses words like vibes and cooked and full send for everything. Shawn brilliantly articulates that using slang to encapsulate deep, nuanced emotions shows a complete and utter lack of vocabulary and emotional intelligence.
He basically looked at Adam and asked, did you invent this exaggerated surfer bro character?
Yeah.
Because you are far too emotionally stunted to actually express a real feeling.
Then Adam completely lost it. You could see his blood pressure spike. He got so red. His eyes were practically glowing with unregulated rage. He was so deeply triggered because Shawn saw right through the armor.
And what is Adam's immediate defense mechanism? He screams across the table and demands an IQ test.
Which perfectly proves Shawn's exact point. Shawn wasn't questioning his IQ, his intelligence quotient, or his ability to solve a math problem. He was questioning his EQ, his emotional quotient. The fact that Adam literally does not know the difference between IQ and EQ is the funniest, most ironic cell phone in the history of the franchise.
And then the audacity continues in his solo confessional. Adam is sitting there fuming, and he says it's embarrassing to even be acquainted with Shawn and Nikki. They fight over such childish things.
The projection is blinding.
Adam, you are walking around restaurants chewing on animal bones like a stray dog and throwing temper tantrums because your adult wife won't play a paddle sport with you, but they are embarrassing. Please seek professional help.
The deflection is real. But if we truly want to discuss audacity, we have to talk about Mecca. Because Mecca's behavior at that dinner table was deeply insidious.
I lost my mind. I wanted to crawl through the television screen and physically intervene. I completely lost my mind over Mecca.
So Mecca and Belle are sitting there, quietly whispering while the rest of the table argues. And Mecca, completely unprovoked, leans over to this gorgeous, radiant woman and whispers, "Yeah, I actually wasn't attracted to you at first sight."
I am getting angry just reliving it.
He says, "When you walk down the aisle, I was wondering, is she pretty enough for me?"
Belle is stunning. She is elegant. She's beautiful. She carries herself with so much grace. And Mecca, look, I am all for personal expression and unique style, but let's be entirely real here. The man is sitting at a formal dinner wearing a slouchy beanie indoors.
Right, with chipped black nail polish and beat-up Pumas.
And gold fangs.
No.
He looks like he just rolled out of a 2006 Tony Hawk skate park. And he has the unmitigated gall to question if Belle is aesthetically pretty enough for him. The delusion is astronomical.
What's fascinating here is the dark psychology behind that specific statement.
Yeah.
There wasn't just a careless, honest comment that slipped out. That is a deliberate, highly calculated power play.
It's textbook negging.
Exactly. Mecca is highly aware of the fact that Belle is out of his league, both aesthetically and emotionally. He senses that imbalance of power. So to compensate for his own massive insecurities, he has to knock her down a peg.
He drops that comment to make her feel insecure, keeping himself in the position of power.
It is absolute self-sabotage and emotional manipulation. He wants her constantly off balance, constantly trying to prove her worth to him. It's called diminishing to dominate.
It is so gross to watch. And the worst part is, earlier that exact same day, they had literally just agreed that things were going great, and they were both going to say yes on decision day. Why pull the pin on a grenade and throw it into your own happy relationship?
Because he's fundamentally toxic and addicted to chaos. Speaking of throwing grenades into relationships, let's unpack Devin and Caitlin and the infamous cheating hypothetical.
Okay, mark this date in the calendar, because usually I am the one reacting purely on emotion and aggressively dragging the men on this show, but I actually have to step up and defend Devin here.
I know, I was genuinely shocked when you texted me this earlier.
So, Felipe, who is just aggressively stirring the pot because he desperately wants the heat off his own terrible marriage, asks the table a highly inflammatory question. He asks if anyone would actually stay married to their partner if they hadn't had sex yet by this point.
Right, and Devin answers it.
Devin answers the question, but he makes a very generalized, objective statement. He says, I can see how a complete lack of physical intimacy could cause some people in the real world to look elsewhere. He explicitly did not say he would cheat. He made a sociological observation.
And Caitlin, true to form, immediately weaponizes that statement against him.
Instantly. The milliseconds after it leaves his mouth, she makes it entirely about her past trauma of being cheated on by her ex. She gets highly offended, completely shuts down, turns her body away from him, and gives Devin the silent treatment for the rest of the night.
If we connect this behavior back to what her own father told Devin earlier in the season, her dad explicitly pulled Devin aside and warned him when she gets grumpy and shuts down. Just let her be. You can't fix it.
Wow, that explains so much.
Caitlin doesn't actually want to communicate through conflict. She wants to win the conflict. She wants the moral high ground. She wants to be the perpetual victim.
She filters every single interaction through the lens of her past trauma, and any misstep by Devin is seized upon as proof that she is right to keep her emotional walls up.
It's exhausting to witness. Devin is just perpetually walking on eggshells, constantly apologizing for hypothetical crimes he didn't even commit just to keep the peace.
And presiding over all of this chaos, sitting at the head of the table on their massive high horses, we have Cameron and Michelle.
They are so unbearably smug. I literally cannot stand it.
They took a day trip to visit Michelle's aunt, who ran away at 18 to escape an arranged marriage, which is a wild backstory we barely touched on. And now Cameron and Michelle return to the group thinking they are the ultimate relationship oracles of Seattle.
They act like they just descended from the mountain with the stone tablets of love. Cameron asked the aunt for the secret to keeping the spark alive, and she basically gave the most generic advice possible.
You have to work at it every day. Groundbreaking. Truly revolutionary insight.
But at the dinner, Cameron takes this newfound arrogance, literally points his index finger across the table at Shawn, Nikki, Devin, Caitlin, Tori, and Felipe, and loudly declares to the entire restaurant, everyone on that side of the table should just get a divorce right now.
The sheer, unadulterated arrogance of that moment. Sit all the way down, Cameron. You met your wife 6 weeks ago in a reality TV holding pen.
And need we remind the audience that just 3 episodes ago, this same Cameron went home curled up in a literal fetal position on his couch and actively sobbed because he realized he doesn't make $150,000 a year.
He felt emasculated. You are not emotionally stable enough to be dictating who is fit for marriage. You are being dragged across the finish line entirely by Michelle's relentless, blinding optimism.
It's a textbook case of deflection. If Cameron focuses all his energy on aggressively diagnosing how messy everyone else's marriage is, he doesn't ever have to look inward at his own deep-seated fears of financial inadequacy and commitment.
Full bags, we've dragged them through the mud, analyzed their childhood trauma, and judged their outfits. But now it's time to formalize the judgment. We need to put this on their permanent record. If we had to actually grade these train wrecks, who is failing what? Let's start with communication.
Get your red pens ready. Communication is an absolute disaster across the board, but I have to highlight a few specifics.
I am giving an immediate F to Adam. You cannot successfully communicate your way through a legally binding marriage using only the words vibes and cooked. You are an adult man. Expand your vocabulary, sir.
Go read a book.
And I'm also giving an S to Caitlin. The silent treatment is not a communication style. It is a form of emotional terrorism designed to punish your partner.
Fully agreed. Moving on to chemistry.
F for Shawn and Nikki. I'm sorry, I don't care what happened off camera, but HR-approved chemistry doesn't count in the real world. Describing a hookup as a physical encounter of the sexual flavor earns you a 0 in my gradebook.
It's giving sterile lab environment. It's giving clinical trial. Next category effort.
D for Felipe. And honestly, that D is being incredibly generous. Future faking and handing a girl a cheap-framed photo of a kiss she is currently regretting does not count as effort. It counts as manipulation, masked as romance.
Emotional maturity. Didn't even know exactly where this is going.
F- for Adam. Demanding an IQ test when someone correctly questions your EQ is the most emotionally stunted, hilariously fragile thing I have ever witnessed on this network.
Finally, long-term potential.
Mm-hmm.
Who actually has a shot at surviving outside this bubble?
Okay, here's where we violently disagree, and I'm ready to fight you on this. I actually say Cameron and Michelle have long-term potential simply because Michelle is stubborn enough to drag his crying, insecure body across the finish line for the next 40 years.
Absolutely not. I reject that premise entirely. They have zero potential. They are entirely faking their stability right now to be the undisputed winners of the season.
You really think so?
They want the crown, they want the positive edit, and they want the Instagram sponsorships. The absolute minute the production cameras pack up and Cameron has another massive meltdown about his salary. Michelle's forced optimism is going to evaporate. They are doomed.
We will see. Time will tell. But looking at all these disasters, we have to ask, are these fatal flaws or just bad editing? Let's play a game of red flag or misunderstanding. First up, Mecca telling Belle she wasn't pretty enough for him at first sight.
Red flag. Neon red flashing sirens evacuate the building.
It is the reddest of flags. It's practically glowing in the dark.
As I analyzed earlier, it's a deliberate, vicious power play. He is actively trying to lower her self-esteem so she doesn't realize she can do infinitely better than a man in a beanie and gold fangs. It is a glaring sign of deep insecurity.
Next scenario. Devin's cheating hypothetical at the dinner table.
Misunderstanding. 100%.
Completely agree. Devin was speaking generally about human nature and the mechanics of intimacy. Caitlin weaponized her own unhealed trauma to control the narrative and punish him.
She misunderstood him on purpose so she could have an excuse to be mad and push him away.
Exactly. Last one. Adam's relentless obsession with his ex-girlfriend.
Red flag. Stop the ride, I want to get off.
It's a billboard-sized red flag visible from space. He brings her up constantly. He openly compares Marissa to her. He is fundamentally not over the ex. Marissa is just a temporary placeholder until he finds someone who will agree to play pickleball with him until they die.
Since Paul, the alleged expert, absolutely refuses to do his actual job and actually hold these people accountable, we have to do it. If we were sitting in that therapy chair, what is the brutal, honest advice we would give them right now?
Tori, if you are somehow listening to this run, flee the state. A man who promises you his devotion for today but will not commit to tomorrow is actively preparing to ghost you. Cut the line. Block the number.
Marissa, babes, look at me. Stop being a people pleaser. You do not have to endure 6 days of forced athletic labor to be worthy of love. And more importantly, a man who furiously chews on a bone in a public restaurant cannot protect you in the real world. Stand up for yourself.
And my advice to Caitlin. You have got to stop punishing Devin for your ex-boyfriend's mistakes. Devin is not the man who cheated on you. If you keep treating him like a convicted criminal on parole, he is eventually going to stop trying to prove his innocence and he will just leave.
Are any of them actually going to listen to us?
Absolutely not. Adam would just listen to our deep psychological breakdown of his character and say, our advice is cooked.
Ugh, I hate that word now. It is ruined for me. Okay, bestie, it's crystal ball time.
Yeah.
Let's look at decision day. Who is actually delusional enough to walk up to that altar and say yes?
Let's predict who stays together. I'm calling it right now Cameron and Michelle, but not out of profound, everlasting love. Out of pure, unadulterated spite and a desperate desire to win the season.
I agree they want the bragging rights. Now, who is heading toward absolute spectacular disaster? Adam and Marissa. I'm predicting that on decision day, the pressure will finally cause Marissa to snap. She will pull a carbon fiber pickleball paddle out of her purse, and she will physically break it over his knee at the altar.
We can only hope for such incredible television. What do you think is the biggest surprise coming?
Shawn and Nikki saying yes. I truly think they are going to do it. They have successfully negotiated the corporate merger of their lives. They have signed the terms of service, and they are going to merge their financial assets for tax purposes.
It's a flawless business transaction. I respect the hustle. And finally, give me one completely ridiculous, unhinged prediction that somehow feels entirely possible in this universe.
Okay, picture this. Get this exact scenario in your mind. Felipe steps up to the altar on decision day. He's wearing a nice suit. Tori looks at him expecting the absolute worst. And Felipe looks deep into her eyes and says, I say yes for the next 24 hours.
Oh my God.
He literally treats the altar like a Marriott hotel checkout, asks the experts for a late checkout of 2 p.m. tomorrow, and then leaves the set.
Honestly, based on his behavioral patterns, I wouldn't put it past him for a single second. It aligns perfectly with his data.
Well, Snark Squad, that is absolutely all the mess, all the trauma, and all the performative behavior we can mentally handle for 1 week. Now it's your turn. We need to hear from you.
Yes. Slide into our DMs, leave a comment, or send us a voice note. We have pressing questions. Number one, would you ever agree to go camping for the 3rd time in one summer? Or would you immediately, without hesitation, block the number of the person asking?
Seriously, tell me I'm not crazy for choosing air conditioning over bears. Also, we need you to settle the debate. Are you team fresh flowers or team dried flowers? Please let Jay know that keeping highly flammable dust traps in your living room is not a vibe.
They are architectural and timeless. Don't listen to her.
Yeah.
And finally, what is the absolute most expensive tequila you have ever tried in your life? And did it actually taste objectively good, or did it just look really pretty on your Instagram story? We need radical honesty.
We want all your thoughts, all your deeply analytical shade, and all your corporate espionage confessions for next week.
Stay hopeful, stay shady, and...
We'll see you on the Snark side.
Bye, babes.